This is Geek Gab with your host, Dornall and me, Daddy Warpig. We are back. Geek Gab for Saturday, July 23rd, 2022. We are coming at you live from various secret locations, literally spread across the surface of the globe. Dornall, how was your week?
Hey man, just the joys of home ownership in the heat of summer. It's been a great week, honestly. Mostly life stuff, though in my hobby time, I continue to explore the rules of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
I
I
don't know.
regret to,
I
yeah,
expected to say it's all good in the hood. I don't know why I thought that. That's obviously something you would never say, but I was just
I
waiting for
know it
that.
is nothing. I don't think I would ever say that. Though now that you've planted the seed, I'm gonna have to say it sometime today.
I'm going to take my medicine and let you talk because you absolutely would not stop before the show began. Apparently, we were like late or something.
We needed to be on time. Why don't you take a tall sip of water out of your tall glass, and I'll just relate my gaming news. I've continued to explore the rules of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Regrettably, I haven't experimented through play yet. That's on the to-do list. I think we're going to start up this week or the next. Um, so that's what's going on in gaming news, including um, getting into a disagreement on Twitter with the inimitable Jeffro Johnson, which uh, that it's not really worth talking about other than I understand what everybody who actually doesn't like Jeffro feels like when Jeffro is Jeffro, the iconoclast, and you just have to wash your hands and walk away. Um, but this is great. I love this stuff. The more I read the books, the more I learn, the more I think about how the game is going to go. The more I'm excited to do it. And um, I'm gonna get in my soapbox here for a second. That's something that um, I'm gonna get in my. You're gonna what? Uh-oh. I think Daddy Warpig's broken.
But no, I'm here.
Um, I I just wanted to say that it's something that the game as written does that previous games didn't for me. I think my introduction to the hobby was AD&D Second Edition and all those amazing boxed settings. And it's that it was good for business, but they sold a lot of books that people read and didn't play. And all these cool books and settings and illustrations and things sparked the imagination on stuff maybe you'd want to see or read about. But how do you turn that into a game? And uh, if you find the right game book, I think AD&D First Edition Dungeon Master's Guide is the best example of a book that you read through and it makes you want to play, not just, oh, I want to live in this world, or I want to write a isekai story about a Israeli soldier who gets transported to this world. Makes you want to actually play a physical game, which is ostensibly what those books were for originally. But role playing games have drastically changed. They've been different for a long, long time now.
Yeah, no, that reminds me. Somebody posted this week a list of the varying sales of different AD&D campaign worlds. All of them from first edition and second edition. Um, and it is shocking how little a lot of the favorite Golden Child second edition settings sold. Um, like, which would you think was more popular, Spelljammer or Planescape?
I'm biased. Planescape by a million
Spelljammer beat Planescape
in
and
total sales over its
in
lifetime.
total sales.
Wow.
Spelljammer is number 6 in AD&D settings. Greyhawk
Spelljammer.
beats it. Forgotten Realms beats it. You know, the really, really big standard settings beats it. Dark Sun comes in number 5. But then
Wow.
Spelljammer sneaks in. Spelljammer comes in right behind, like, Ravenloft is number 4. But your Birthright, your what are all those other also ran settings?
Mystara.
Mystara was dead last, except for Red Steel, which came in as part of the Mystara setting when they took it from BECMI. Those two are dead last, but like, you know, what were some of the ones besides Planescape? There were Birthright, you know, just above Mystara, almost dead last. They were all, you know, just dragging towards the end, and Spelljammer was more popular than all these other big name settings that are so popular. And my boy Dark Sun was just kicking tail. I mean, you would not expect the anti-Forgotten Realms to be doing so respectable, and it was not doing anywhere near Forgotten Realms numbers, but it was pretty close to Ravenloft. So yeah, it was doing respectable numbers up there. I'm like, yeah, Dark Sun, yeah, baby. And this was a setting that had to redo its psionics 4 times because second edition psionics sucked so hard.
You got to help me out with this because you and one other friend I had a long time ago absolutely loved Dark Sun. I don't get it. What made it so appealing?
Well, it's kind of like John Carter of Mars crossed with Mad Max crossed with D&D. Um, it takes all the usual D&D stuff and then changes it into this harsh post-apocalyptic survival setting. So everything is different, and you get to play a bunch of D&D stuff in a completely different way. So, you know, they had taken all of that post-apocalyptic stuff that was in AD&D first edition. I hate having to specify that. I always say AD&D online, and people are like, "Oh, wait, you mean first edition?" I'm like, "No, I mean AD&D. If I meant second edition, I would have said second edition." But AD&D is a post-apocalyptic game, right? Well, this is just kind of taking the post-apocalyptic of AD&D and making it even harsher, to where it's not just that mages have to search for spells. Now mages are hunted. Now mages are, you know, they actually harm the world when they cast spells. And everyone has, you know, it's a dying earth setting, right? It's dying earth in AD&D, only without the semi-technological stuff. So it takes a lot of different things that are pulp oriented, that the pulp rev focused on, and brings them back in a bigger way. It's kind of that Martian desert feel from Barsoom with that dying earth. The sun is literally going dark and things are harsh outside the cities. And, you know, it's cool like that. It's not your mainstay D&D campaign, but it's a great change of pace campaign. Got a lot of great creatures. Everybody is a wild talent psionic. And you can do a lot of really great stuff in the campaign world. So yeah, it's well worthwhile. I would like to see it done up as an actual AD&D game, not a second edition game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious as to, and I've said this before to the bros in the Broasar. I'd like to see it done up as that and see how it goes.
Absolutely. I would love to see that stuff because it's because of what I just said before, because it's written as a setting that you want to buy, that you want to see, that you want to read, you want to look at the cool art. And Dark Sun did have some really distinctive art. But what would that look like if you took it seriously as a game and wanted to make sure that, in the same way that the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide was a way to codify the rules for convention or tournament play, right? So, hey, let's have everybody in the world playing the same game, right? Uh, let's do that with Dark Sun. Like, let's make this game playable out of the box with the rules that really let you start and grow organically.
You've got everything you need to play Dark Sun in AD&D already. But you've got rules for desert, you've got rules for, survival, you've got rules for monsters and experience points and treasure and whatever. You just need to. All it is it's a campaign setting with unique monster encounter tables. You'd need to set up the monsters for AD&D, not second edition. You'd need to make the couple of variant classes. Like there's a new fighter subclass called Gladiator. You'd have a new effects for wizard called Preserver or Defiler, and you have to work out how that works. And then you'd have to decide how having everyone be a psionic would work, because psionics is better integrated into first edition than it ever was in second edition. I mean, literally psionic attack modes are listed at every single monster in the monster manual. Oh, that's it. That's the chart.
I don't know why it took me so long to find the sales chart, but if you're watching on YouTube, you can see, the big settings like Greyhawk and Forgotten Realms outsold the rest by orders of magnitude.
Oriental Adventure, look how high that is.
Yeah.
It beat Dragonlance in sales.
That's amazing. And it's funny that Mystara's not even on the list, and Red Steel and Birthright are both Mystara subsettings.
No, Birthright is its own world.
Is it?
Yeah, it's its own campaign world.
Mm.
But I mean, Maztica, or excuse me, not Maztica, Al-Qadim, the Land of Fate, which is a Forgotten Realms subsetting, beat Planescape.
If it weren't for the giant sales of Dark Sun, I would have suspected fatigue, right? Everybody had sort of picked their favorite setting from the mid 80s, and when the 90s came along and they're like, wow, we can just churn out a bunch of different books. Let's make money off of this. People weren't buying it much anymore.
Yeah, Maztica was also a subsetting for Forgotten Realms. But yeah, I mean, Greyhawk, Oriental Adventures, Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms. Those are the kings. Those dominated everything. But Ravenloft, doing strong, about half the sales of Dragonlance. That's your Goths. And then Dark Sun right behind Ravenloft. Not that far off. I'm just impressed that it was that far off, looking at how, apparently Planescape had really loud fans, but it didn't sell very well. Spelljammer outsold Linkmar. It outsold Al-Qadim, Planescape, Mystara, which is what it's listed as Karmikos here, Maztica, Red Steel, and Birthright. All of it outsold by Spelljammer. People remember Spelljammer as this failed thing. But no, it's what, number
Yeah,
7?
if you release the Forgotten Realms, and this is in 1999, right? But if by the time 1990 came along and Spelljammer was doing the fraction of the business that Forgotten Realms did, then yeah, you'd have considered it a failure too.
Everything else was even worse. See, I'm not saying Dark Sun was the super blockbuster that Forgotten Realms was, but it's impressive to me that it scored that high. I mean, Dark Sun is like not far behind Ravenloft, and it is just a little bit less than half of Dragonlance. That's pretty impressive. Selling just a bit less of the campaign setting for Dragonlance.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I posted this last week, did a little bit of analysis on it. Mostly because, I was just impressed for Dark Sun. Spelljammer, I already figured out, I don't know if I've talked about it on the show, what Spelljammer actually needed was not to be this wishy-washy setting that can be inserted in any campaign ever. What it needed to be was its own solid setting. It needed a core. And people keep on saying Rock or Brawl. And I'm like, yeah, but the Rock or Brawl was this kind of appendix afterthought that could be stuck in any other setting. They were wishy-washy. They didn't establish it. What it needed was something like what Planescape had, which was a clear, awesome central setting in its own system that was clearly, this is Spelljammer. That was everything that was perfect about Spelljammer. And everything you wanted to do in Spelljammer was focused in that particular setting. And then you could visit all these other worlds as a side effect of Spelljamming. You didn't want to have your primary world be, here's the Forgotten Realms and this tiny little asteroid. You want it to be, here's this awesome system with this main city that everybody knows is Spelljamming central, that all these other empires come to, that the Illithids come to trade, that the Elven Space Empire comes to trade, that, the Red Wizards of Thay have an embassy on, and they come to trade because they are into Spelljamming. And that's your core, and that's really, really cool. And we'll turn it up to 11, and it'll be, where you can have Red Wizards of Thay walking around and trading with some order of knights from Greyhawk and the Empire from Oriental Adventures and, whatever. Where everything crosses over here. And that's the selling point of Spelljammers. Everything meets here in this one crystal sphere. And then if you want, you can have pirates in that one crystal sphere, and you have offshoots and other colonies. And you don't go to this planet because this planet is the dark planet. It never sees the sun because it's always in shadow, because it's a moon around this giant. And all the Umberholts live here, or not the Umberholts, those spider eel creepy things I always loved. They all live here, and they are pirates, and they come out and they capture people and eat them alive, and everybody hates them, but they're so powerful and so nasty, and they're in cahoots with the Illithid, but the Illithid pretend to be civilized traders, and you can go out and the Beholders have their fleet that comes into the system, and everything crosses over in this one scene. That's what you needed to make Spelljammer a compelling setting, is a setting for Spelljammer. And then after you've done all the fighting pirates and finding treasure and finding magical items and all of that, and then you can go into other crystal spheres that all have their own deal, and they're great. But then you can also go back to Forgotten Realms if you want, or Greyhawk if you want, or the Dragonlance world if you want. That would have made Spelljammer awesome. That would have made it a compelling setting instead of just this. If they had balls, really, is what it was. If they had the balls to just roll the dice and go hard with the setting instead of making it just, oh, well, if what you really like is Greyhawk, you can play Greyhawk, but you can also play our setting, maybe, if you like that sort of thing. You can like that sort of thing. It's okay. We made an okay kind of setting, maybe. It's all maybe okay, all right. It's disgusting. If you're going to do something, have the balls to do something.
I love Rick Moranis, but don't hire him to do your marketing.
But yeah,
that was a great impression, by the way. I don't know if that was deliberate.
It's you should just it's amazing they did that well with just that, playing it so soft.
All right. We're gonna have Simon Hugwood wants in. When are we gonna play DW?
I am way too busy to run stuff right now. I'm way too busy to run the stuff I'm not running right now.
Yeah, never mind when the Brosar guys twist your arm to get in. But hey, that was fun. I love talking about D&D. What about your week? Anything else you want to bring up?
We almost got to kill the werewolf we were almost killing before, but we didn't get to kill him.
All right.
That was with the Brosar campaign.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that werewolf's been out there since before I started playing, and that's been I think March. So
well, I hope our guest didn't fall asleep. I forgot that he doesn't play D&D, so we totally lost him there for a few minutes.
No, I'm still here.
D-Dub, care to take care of the introduction for today?
Hey, Yakov, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me again. It's been, I don't know, a while, like a year or something like that, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah, something like that.
I've been 4 hours of sleep, so I'm really sleep deprived. So I could not vouch for time right now.
Yeah. Those cruel of me to ask you to use any mental faculties there, DW, knowing that you were on 4 hours of sleep. Yeah, man. Welcome back to the show. We love having Yakov on. For those of you who are new here, Yakov is a science fiction author, great guy. Always loves to come on the show to talk about his Isekai series and his Spacefaring Cat series of books. I'm going to let you plug those specifically yourselves, but you are here for something new and exciting, and I got to go find the website again for this because I shared that.
Oh yeah, I could post
chart
it in
earlier.
I can post it in the StreamYard chat if it'll be faster.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
We do have to do this, so tell us, how have you been and what are you up to?
Overall, been okay. Working on this, obviously, because it took a little bit longer to get this campaign ready to go live, in part because of the animation that I had done for the trailer, which, and if you haven't seen that, you should definitely watch it. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, doing pretty well overall. Working on other projects also along with this, and so for now, obviously, this next month I'm going to be, mostly marketing focused as I push this campaign because it's a lot of fun, and I think the second set of books in the series is even better than the first set. And yeah, I really just want to keep growing this, keep getting it out. I mean, keep getting it in front of new readers, because I've been selling them at actually conventions in Israel here, and it's actually sold decently well, even though it's in English only for now. So people seem to be enjoying it, basically. And anybody who likes this kind of genre, like any isekai stuff, will enjoy this, I think, because it keeps all of the stuff that's fun about the genre while doing it something a little bit different, keeping like a more interesting main character, and just some things that, I guess the way I approach it is a little bit more interesting than, I guess, the box standard you tend to get these days in terms of various isekai stuff. So yeah.
So what we need you to do, starting out, is to sell the series.
Yes.
Give us
I mean,
like short, concise selling of the series.
Yeah, basically, it's an IDF soldier on his way to base one day, gets pulled through a portal into a fantasy world, and then proceeds to meddle with things. He finds problems that he decides need to be fixed, and he goes about fixing them and dealing with whatever gets in his way, essentially. So the first 5 books, I guess in some ways, are more of the, not necessarily the introduction, but the first 5 books, kind of ramping up to where we're getting now, where the conflicts that kind of set off in, I don't know, volumes 2 or 3, like really become much more intense now in terms of types of enemies they have to face and different challenges they put in front of the main characters. Plus, we get to explore some more of the background of a few of the supporting characters, which we didn't get to see a whole lot of in the first 5 volumes. And that was the trailer. So
Yeah, you guys watching the YouTube, you get a treat. If you are listening offline, go ahead and check out this Kickstarter project just for the trailer, because you have proper anime intro to your isekai series, and it's fantastic.
And there's music there too. I know you had it on mute for this because it's streamed, but there is music back there also. So
yeah, the music's pretty cool. I do keep it muted for the it's because people are here to listen to you, not watch a trailer.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep playing the trailer again when I talk. This is badass, proper anime action.
Yeah, it came out really, really nice. I'm really happy with how it came out. And there's more coming a little bit. My artist is working on a couple more scenes we didn't have time to finish for the launch that I'm going to add to an extended trailer once they're done. And I'll be using it for promotion, obviously, well beyond the Kickstarter for obvious reasons.
Yeah. For me, I know that you've been working on this series. This has been a labor of love for years, and your artist here has done all these great covers that you also put in the trailer here. But turning that into an animation, tell us all about that, because that's the next step, and I'm so happy to see you take that step, and I want to know all about it.
About the process, or just
everything. Like why did you choose to do an animation on top of these gorgeous still covers?
Well, obviously, animation is more appealing to a lot of people. It's going to get more eyes, to watch. Like if I set up like an ad for this series, people will be more likely to not skip it if they see animation at the start, because it looks more like a serious thing, I guess, than just still images. And also, I found out, I don't remember how long after I started working with my artist, that he also does animation. He's the same guy who did all the art for the series, does this too. So I realized he does animation. And I'm like, okay, at some point, I'm going to have you do animation for me, because his animation that I saw before this was really, really good. And that was from a couple of years ago, so it's even better than what stuff I've seen from him before. So it was just obvious. It was a matter of when. And I decided, for this second campaign, it was not a bad time to try it out. And I mean, that's part of what took so long to get it ready, because it did take a little bit longer because I haven't ever commissioned animation before, and it does take time, both on my part and his part, to get everything done. And the rendering could take forever for the scenes, even though it's not so long, relatively speaking. But it was very fun. I mean, getting to see all the little updates as he goes along. I posted a lot of those to my Patreon, so anybody who supports me on there gets to see all these updates early. And like I said, there are a few more scenes that are being worked on still that will be added to like a slightly longer trailer once they're ready, hopefully the next couple of weeks.
This is cool stuff. I love your artist's eye and style, and it's chat loves it. Video Mirador wants to know about the artist process a little bit. He says the animation's really beautiful. I wonder if it was hand drawn and then rendered into a program.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he draws on some kind of like, art pad or something. I don't think it's, physically drawn by hand, but I mean, obviously you're drawing it, with your hand on some kind of device, I think. I mean, I don't know his full process, but
that's common these days. These many digital artists, I even want to say most these days, they just use a tablet and draw directly into their program of choice.
But yeah, he really goes above and beyond. Like, I mean, not just on this, on just putting thought into different aspects of the art, whether it's suggesting the layout for the covers, or when he does internal illustrations for some of them that we have panels on them and not just a single image. So he has a really good eye for making those scenes work, and that's part of why one of my stretch goals for this campaign is getting him a bonus, because he really deserves a bonus, because he's been really, really good to work with for the last 2 years now, almost a year and a half. Actually, coming up on 2 years. I think in end of the summer it would be 2 years or so. So that's, I mean, obviously the main goal is the priority, but I really hope I get to the goal where I get to give him a nice bonus, because he's a freelance artist, and I've been doing freelance work myself lately, and like proofreading mostly, and it's a grind, and it's not the most stable income stream. So a nice bonus would be a really big help, for him, or even for any artist who does freelance work. So I really hope that we could get there this time, and get up to that stretch goal to really give him something, something special.
That's great. I hope he gets it, because it's really heartwarming to hear about the good relationships you're building, the professional relationships in building this series. It's not just a product. I can tell that it's really important to you, and you like getting a good quality of work here, and so it's encouraging to me, is what it is.
Yeah, but I find when I find that artist is good to work with, I tend to just try and stick with them as long as possible, for whatever project, it fits their style. Like in my first series, I used the same artist all the way through because he was great, and I needed a different style for this, and I found somebody who I want to stick with for anything I do in this style ever. I hope to use the same person. We're actually working on a manga project also that'll be hopefully getting really into motion early next year, and I already have the character designs for that from him. And he put more thought into the flight suits of the characters than I put into it. So that's gonna be a very fun project too once I get there. But that's a few steps ahead right now. Right now it's Light into Another World, and that Anime Girls Flying Starfighters manga will be next year's project.
Oh boy, we're gonna have to catch up with you then when you start teasing more of that.
Yeah, I'm already scripting it, so it's moving along.
Okay, so let's say I'm interested in Light Unto Another World, the next set of volumes. Now I forget where we left off in the first 5 volumes. How large is each volume, and do you have one overarching story, or are these just the 5 new episodes or adventures?
No, there's one overarching story, though I do try and keep each book, at least most of the time, semi-self-contained, where like each book will have, like a satisfying, climax at the end, like a smaller conflict within the larger story that is part of that, but it still has a conclusion in every book. I try and give different supporting characters more of a focus in the different volumes, because there's 6 supporting characters beyond my main character. And there's not, you can't shove everything into one book, especially because these books are only 50,000 words long, so it's like 200 pages. So they're all pretty bite-sized and very, very easy to read, in an afternoon essentially. So I try to give, each book, 1 or 2 of them get more, prominence than other ones. Like you could usually tell, minor spoiler, that if you look at the cover of a given volume, whichever side characters are on the cover usually get more focus in that book.
Yeah.
So in this set of volumes, there are two side characters in particular who didn't get as much focus on them in the first volume, is partially because they only joined the main crew in volume 3 out of those first 5. So now they get much more focused time in this series, in this set of volumes. So especially the one we're looking at right now, Setzel, who she's the one who transforms into the monster over here. So she actually kind of gets 2 volumes, volumes 9 and 10. She gets a lot of focus in those, and those are actually was really fun to write.
Well, you know your audience if you're adding extra volumes for the Monster Girl. But what made them fun to write?
I mean, just the type of story. It's like because I grew up reading a lot of epic fantasy, where this is more like, I guess, closer to adventure fantasy, even though there is one overarching story and there is bigger stuff going on. Like, I do try and keep it more grounded, where it's the single first person viewpoint. I'm not branching out into like a dozen different third person viewpoints, which I did for my Galaxy Ascendant series, which worked for that. But for this, I really needed a much closer focus through one character's lens, and just being able to just have the world kind of unfold as I write, because I'm not, I guess, world building more than I need to in advance. Like, I build enough that I know where I have to go, but like, I do give myself some freedom to kind of figure out beyond the basic bullet points what needs to happen in a volume, how to tie it all together, and how it all seems to come together on its own, which is like, it's a joy when I'm outlining a book and it's like, oh, okay, I know how this all falls into place, and I figured it out right now while I'm sitting here. So that just makes it fun. And obviously also the character dynamics of the main group is just really, really fun to write. And they all just seem to, I guess I've written the series long enough now that all the characters, are like second nature for writing them. And so all their interactions, I think, get even more fun. And there are different idiosyncrasies or different, personality types. And that's part also why I have a large, supporting cast, because I just enjoy, a variety of characters. Like my Galaxy Ascendant series also, I had, there was all aliens, and I had, I think, 7 different alien species represented, or maybe 8 out of all the different characters. So here, out of the main group of 7, only 2 out of the 7 are human, and then the rest are not, because I'm writing fantasy. So why wouldn't I?
Absolutely. Holy cow! I keep going through this trailer.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it, because the rates is my artist rates, that are pretty good rates as animation rates go, but it's still animation. It still costs money, so it wasn't nothing. I still had to pay something real for this, because for this quality. So
this is outstanding. And do you have interior illustrations as well throughout the
yes,
books?
I have 5 guaranteed, and then if we hit stretch goals like we did last time, I'll go up to a maximum of 7 per book again. So last time I started from a guarantee of 4, and then we stretch goaled an additional 3. This time, partially because I made enough from the first Kickstarter that I could afford to, I was able to guarantee 5 and then stretch goals for the next 2. And then beyond that, my stretch goals include character art, like solo character art to do like other merchandise with potentially, or other types of stuff. And then I think the next stretch goal after that is the artist bonus. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So if we the stretch goal for the artist works, once we pass $7,000, anything that I raise between $7,000 and $8,000 goes to him up to the full 1,000, and that's after the Kickstarter cut. So like, I'll take a little bit of a hit to give him the exact amount, between those two numbers, or up to 8,000 that we raise, because I'm willing to take a few dollars hit to give him that full amount, basically. And obviously, if we go beyond that, the sky's the limit. I mean, I have also a higher stretch goal for audiobook version that I never did that before, so it might be need to try once. Although I hear the audience for them is a little bit smaller than it used to be, because people aren't commuting to work as much anymore. But
that's true.
But if I raise the fund, I'll try it once and then see how it goes. Also, it's not a part of the Kickstarter, but I'm actually getting the first volume translated into Hebrew now.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I just actually have to send my translator for that, the second payment for that. I think it's halfway done now, and so that's going to be a fun because I've been selling books at conventions in Israel here twice so far. Hopefully another one in October, and I've sold a couple dozen books over the two conventions. And but on the other hand, there are people who have stopped by who say they love to read it, but they just don't read English well enough. So I figured I'll try one volume in Hebrew and see how it sells, and then hopefully do the rest of them. But I figured since I am living in a Hebrew speaking country and there is an interest in it, clearly, I should definitely try it once. And I found through the convention, someone connected me to a person who does translation, and that's going pretty well so far. She actually said it's the most fun project she's had translation wise so far. So that's nice to hear.
Oh, that's great. Just knowing that there are the types of conventions out there where you can sell your book, those types of fans where you can actually connect with new fans and everything like that. Yeah, getting that translation is going to be a huge boon for you. And I'm excited. Actually, I'm greatly excited and interested to hear later how that comes out.
Yeah.
Do you have you had any challenges or anything getting that translation done or doing the translation?
Nothing specific in terms of problems yet. Basically, the main challenge for it really is figuring out what to do for certain parts of the story because my main character Uriel, he speaks Hebrew a couple times in the story, whether he's saying like a blessing or a prayer or something, or if he's casting spells. Because for the way the magic works, he has to use Hebrew in order to use his magic. So I need to figure out a way basically to make it known to the reader that when he's speaking, those lines in the Hebrew version, that he's not speaking Hebrew the whole time, essentially. So a way to like differentiate, like whether it's different font or italics or something like that, just to make the text noticeably a little bit different than the generic story text. So that's really been the main challenge, I guess, in terms of just making sure that that comes across to the reader, so that it's clear, that's an important element of the story because he's not a native Hebrew speaker, when the story, like in a general sense, but for those specific important moments, he does use it. And so I needed to, seem a little special even when the whole book is in Hebrew. And I guess,
Hebrew runs right to left like Japanese, right?
Yeah.
So it's an even more authentic isekai experience than it would be.
I guess. Although the weird thing is that I think Japanese now is like it's written left to right, but the manga are still like the pages still right to left. I'm not sure why that happened. But
the real answer is that originally or traditionally Japanese was
right to left.
not written right to left. It's written up to down.
Yeah.
It's written up to down, but you start at the right hand of the page, so it's just like if you think writing English on a piece of paper, just rotate that 90 degrees, and that's what writing and reading Japanese is supposed to be like.
Yeah. So, although it is funny because when I hopefully eventually get my manga out and translate that, if I ever want to translate it into Hebrew or Japanese, it'll be easy because they both go right to left anyway.
There you go. That's cool actually. And speaking of Japanese, of course, because of the Japanese influence in here, I guess Hebrew doesn't have a way to indicate foreign words or anything in that alphabet.
Not in an obvious way, no. But Hebrew,
not an obvious way.
I know the words like borrowed from English are just transliterated into Hebrew basically. So we have a lot of silly sounding words like that. And a lot of sciencey words especially tend to be like that.
That makes sense. So, is the one thing the Japanese did, which is clever, is I'm sure you know this, but in case anybody didn't know, they actually have a separate alphabet for foreign words. It's not precisely an alphabet, but you get the idea. Like they just if it's a foreign word, they just write it different.
Yeah, it makes it.
I wonder if more languages couldn't use that.
Yeah, what makes it more challenging to learn a little bit.
Yeah.
The alphabet for certain words, is it phonetic?
Yeah, it's each Japanese is all phonetic, so all they've got their two main character sets that are actually syllables. Each character is a syllable instead of a letter. Like English uses, the Roman
Yeah.
alphabet. So, and it's the two kana. The hiragana is for Japanese words, and katakana is for foreign words. It's basically it's the same sounds, just written differently.
Yeah, and I've been actually doing Japanese on Duolingo for the last couple of months, so I've encountered a lot of that over the last few months.
Oh yeah. It'll melt your brain. Japanese, coming from English, Japanese is actually pretty easy to learn, or easy to get started learning. But yeah, there's the multiple alphabets are
like
challenge.
Focus on. Again, I'm most trying to just focus on one first, and then get that into my brain, and then work more on the other one.
All right, then you'll be trilingual. You'll do English, Hebrew, and Japanese.
Like I said, especially for the manga, translating a comic is a lot easier than translating a book because there's so many fewer words that it just will cost a lot less, number one. And number two, it's just, generally easier because there's fewer, anything that might be difficult to translate, there's just less of it because there's fewer words again. So it just doubly an easier process. So when I do my manga, I do hope to translate it, into Hebrew and into Japanese at some point. I don't know when. I'm going to do it right away, probably. But I think it'll be interesting.
When they write a word like Sarina, which was originally salaryman, which is English, do they write the Nipponicized word in the character set intended for English, or do they write it in the character set intended for Japanese?
I don't know.
Oh, great question.
I guess if it's a word that's transliterated, they probably consider it a foreign word. So they probably like country names, apart from Japan, are all written with katakana, I think. So if it's just a non-Japanese word at all that just transliterated, it's probably using the second character set, I think. But I'm not anywhere near an expert, so I couldn't tell you for sure.
Well, John sounds like he knew. I'm just asking.
I don't have the answer to that question for that word specifically. If it's a foreign word, it will be written in the katakana. If it's possible that a word's been imported into the language, and there might even be unlikely. It's most likely that it would be written in katakana.
Okay.
So there's your answer. Stuff a couple of times. What's your plans as far as Light Unto Another World? I think an anime adaptation would be great. Are you angling towards that for this story, or do you have a different story in mind?
I'd love to if the money is there and somebody wants to do it, but getting that done is about as easy as getting a movie made out of your book, I think. I don't know, it might be a little bit easier, but it's still not very easy. But obviously, I guess having a little bit of animation, as like a teaser there, somebody might see it and think it looks good, and then who knows? But or if the crowdfund raises 6 figures somehow, then obviously I could try and get more made, and then see about something. I'd love to have that to happen at some point, or even to make a manga version of Light Another World one day, because I could really expand the story a little bit more in that format, because it's easier to switch perspectives without having to worry about who's narrating. So that would be an option. But
aim high.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'd love for that to happen. I'm going to try and see who I could find. I know some of the conventions that happen in Israel actually are co-sponsored by Japanese Israel Cultural Exchange or the Japanese Embassy. So who knows who comes to the conventions? I don't know. Awesome. It could be somebody who has a connection somewhere and see something they like, whether it's this or whether it's my manga once that comes out, because that will probably be more mass market than this is. Although this was meant for a wide audience too. It's not meant just for a niche audience, obviously, but that one is probably more of a mass market product than this is in terms of the main premise, I guess. But either one, obviously you could see from just the short trailer that the characters look good in animation. And it's another reason why I had it done is not just for promotional reasons or because my artist does it really well, is because seeing my characters animated is something most authors never get to see. And if I have the chance, I took it.
Love it.
And hopefully, when I do my manga, I'm also going to do an animated intro for that also when that happens. Although I don't want to ask him to too much animation, too quickly because it does take a lot of work and a lot of time from him. And so he's happy to take a break from extended animation sequences for a good 6 months. but yeah, definitely more will come, whether it's from this series or from that one. I mean, again, if the funding is there and we could arrange the timing, I'd love to get some more scenes made, for the next Kickstarter whenever I end up doing that. Like a new trailer for like the next season, for lack of a better term, because I plan the series is going to be at least another 10 volumes beyond this set. So there's plenty more to work with.
Oh, that's a great answer, and I think your prudence and practicality is going to serve you well in making sure that you've delivered everything you've promised so far and then some. But do you mind if I put you on the spot?
Sure.
What if none of that stuff you had? What is your dream? Like, what do you want Light into Another World to be if you could do more? Like, are you pleased with the best isekai series you could come out with, or do you envision like a whole manga and anime and everything like that? Dream big.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously that would be a really great thing to happen. I don't want to aim, I don't want to aim too high and get too close to the sun, or I don't want to try to overpromise stuff. But obviously, if the chance arises, I'm gonna jump on it. If somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I want to collaborate and do something bigger with this because they really like it," whether it's locally here in Israel or from the States or from Japan, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, any opportunity to grow this, because obviously the hardest part of writing anything as an indie author is marketing, getting it in front of more people. And because I know there are a lot of people who would love the series who just don't see it because I don't have a huge platform, and I could do word of mouth, but that's a very limited way in itself based on who else knows about it, and then obviously things like coming onto this show, and then having the Kickstarter visible. So anything that could get it in front of more eyes obviously is great. And I mean, I said I don't want to overpromise. That's why I'm not, I didn't want to stretch goal more animation because again, it just does take a while, and I don't want to try and overcommit. Because I know there have been a lot of projects on Kickstarter and Indiegogo or whatever that overpromise on what they're going to give backers, and then because of that, the project either gets delayed for a long time or it collapses altogether. And I want, I mean, the main focus here is the books, and the books are already written. They're mostly edited, and I'm that's not going to be an issue. With the art for the internals, volume 6 and 7, the 5 that I already committed to are done. Volume 8 is underway now, and volume 9 and 10 will come right after that. So I want to just get this out it's on time and everything as promised. And then beyond that, then based on what we raise, then I'll see what I could do. Like I said, I do want to also start doing some. Maybe next time I'll have some merchandise options again, especially if we hit the stretch goal where I could do extra character art, because obviously I have the covers, but it's not like solo character art to do like individualized. Whether it's I don't know. I mean, I can't even make them all like bookmarks or keychains or shirts with one character on it. So that sort of thing, you really want individual art, and so that'd be really really great to be able to do. And because I think all the characters look great, and they would look great on a lot of things. So hopefully
I love it, and I love the way you're going at it, because it's not my imagination that you're getting a lot of positive response from this animation, and it's really great to see that you've gone all the way into it. Like, put your money where your mouth is, get this stuff out, do a proper anime adaptation, even just for a few scenes, and show people like this is what this is about. This is what I'm about. I love to see that sort of.
Thanks.
I love that positive attitude, and it's tough. Like you said, it takes a lot of time to get the art done, and you have to work back and forth with an artist. But it looks to be paying off. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely paying off. Like I said, it was definitely worth the investment, to pay for the animation, because obviously I'm using it for the crowdfund now, and then beyond this, I could use it for ads, forever if I want to. So, it's like I consider the animation essentially like a marketing, spend, because that's the whole point of it, is just to get it in front of more people, to make it more dynamic, I guess, for people who are more interested in that, who will, take it more seriously if it looks like, there's more effort put into it than just static art. And hopefully there's a response to it. I mean, that's why I started running a couple ads, I think a day or two ago. So it's too early to see really results from it. So hopefully that starts coming in.
I agree. What else? I lost my last question. Dude, this is amazing. Oh, that's what I was thinking of. You mentioned earlier that the books are written. Like, that's
Yes.
one of the things. Like, if you're thinking about this, this isn't just something. Oh, help me write this book. No. This stuff's written. Like, you've got all the action and adventure ready to go. The only thing that's going to happen between now and the release date is just finish your illustration commissions and work on those stretch goals.
Yeah, and hopefully we get the stretch goals, which will add a few extra illustrations per book and get Zach more art in there for all the readers, because everyone seems to be liking the art for obvious reasons. So I want to have the more as much as I can. I don't want to put 7. I think decided was the maximum, just because it's only 200-page books. I don't want to overcrowd it with art, and also it just takes time. So, and the sooner we hit those stretch goals, the sooner I could tell him, okay, we're good to go for more art, and so we could schedule that in to make sure it all gets done faster. I'm really hoping I've got a really good I think first 2 days of the campaign, but as Kickstarters usually do, they slow down for a bit. So I think my last campaign funded on day 12. So I think we're up to like day 4 now, or maybe day 5. So there's still plenty of time to get. We're up to 46% funded now, I think. So there's still plenty of time to get to the main goal, within the first 2 weeks, and that will still leave another couple of weeks after that to push toward as many stretch goals as possible, and just grow this as much as I can, to keep the momentum going in a forward motion.
I've got. Speaking of time, I'm almost out of it. Daddy Warpig, your last chance for questions, comments for Yakov. Got him. I don't think he's asleep this time, though. We would have heard him snoring. Yakov, last words. Give us the hard sell. Light Unto Another World Kickstarter. Anything else you want to talk about or spin before we go?
I mean, just anybody who enjoys this sort of fiction, whether it's isekai specifically or just portal fantasy, like you will enjoy this series. Between the story itself, between the characters, like there's a openly religious main character, which we don't see very often, whether in Japanese or Western stuff, and so it really offers a lot that I think a lot of people who complain about the generic isekai anime or light novels that get most of the attention is not an issue in this, because that's part of why I wrote this in a way, was to try and do it my way and do it a little bit more interesting than a lot of the stuff that I ended up watching that was enjoyable in many respects but was lacking in others, that I was like, I could try and do something a little more interesting with the main character or giving the side characters stuff to do. A lot of these shows, after a while or from the beginning, if the main character is overpowered, the side characters are kind of just set dressing. So I wanted all my side characters to really contribute, and they can make the team a team that needs every member in order to function, in order to win their toughest battles. So that's why I made my main character not overpowered. His magic is like very limited to it requires you to be creative to be effective with it. Like you saw some of the arts there, he has has a little heat ray on his arm that you can just attach summon a light behind it to just burn stuff with, or utilize things like mirrors to use as weapons to project light into things, or bend light to turn invisible. but none of it is like, direct attack kind of thing, or at least not in the traditional sense. So it really allows for the side characters to get a lot more to do, to become much more impactful and important. And that's what I like out of stories: just have everybody who's in the story matter to the story, and just more fun. Because it's always like with every story, there's always readers who have a certain favorite character, and it gets annoying if your favorite character has something to do for whole volumes at a time, or the entire series in some cases. So I want to make sure that anybody who reads the series, that everyone will have their one favorite character, whether it's my main character or one of the side characters, and they should all be able to have moments where the one they want to see the most do something special and awesome, get to have that, basically.
I love it. I hope everybody takes a look at this and gets something special and awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the coming on and telling us all about it. I love seeing your updates, Yakov. I love hearing about what you're up to, and I can't wait to see this stuff continue to grow.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me again. It's fun as always to be on.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat. You've got some fans here. I hope they're taking a closer look at that Kickstarter. They loved the animation. Really good choice there to do that. And I think they want to see the anime. They want to see the Merkin anime universe.
Well, spread it with the word to everybody Tell them, anybody who might enjoy this, tell them about it so they know it exists, so that we could raise enough Kickstarter funds for me to look into something like that. Because I'd love to do it if the money is there, and so it's up to the backers to make that happen. Because I could do whatever I could do, but I'm only one person till the end of the day. So,
dun, dun, dun. Yeah, we already went back already. Thanks so much, Video Meridar. Really appreciate that support.
Yeah, thank you.
That's it, and I hope everybody listening live later enjoyed the chat and checked out those books. If the Kickstarter is still going, get yourself a copy. Otherwise, Yakov Merkin stuff is a lot of fun to read. I'm done for today. Daddy Warpig, are you ready to sign off? I don't know that he is.
I don't know.
I don't know. This is unprecedented. He hasn't said anything in chat, and he's not there. So I guess we'll stop the show because we ran out of stuff to talk about. Well, on behalf of I can't close the show like he can, but we'll give it a try.
Yeah. Oh, we just got a new backer, so that's a nice way to end the show, I guess.
Nice way to end the show. I'm gonna bring that comment back up. Already backed. That's
we're
right.
Almost at 2,000 now. $9 away from hitting 2,000.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to be Daddy Warpig for a minute. It was great to have everybody. This has been Geek Gab for Saturday, July 23rd, 2022. We had a great time. Thanks to everybody who joined us live in chat. You can catch us live on youtube.com/geekgab. We are here just about every Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific. That's doing math, 14 p.m. Eastern. I can do the math, guys.
9 p.m. Israel time.
9 p.m. Israel time. That's awesome. For our globe spanning, we have got wonderful guests. We're always talking about good stuff. And thanks so much to our unusually beautiful and intelligent listeners for tuning in. This is me, Dornell, signing off for Daddy Warpig and Yakov Merkin. We're signing off for today, but don't you worry. Don't you fret. We will be back.